It's a cliche, but they say that it's quite strange. I just come back from Eastern Europe, and Eastern Europe people and Latino people are very different, right? And just like a lot of cliches, it's true. I mean, this is much warmer. I don't mean the temperature, but the people are very warm here. And when you walk around, people talk to you, and when they like something, they will tell you, and when they don't, they probably also tell you. And I like that. I think I have some Latino blood in me. I mean, I'm also very direct and warm as a person, or at least I try to be. So it looks like a cool festival, and that makes it a bit different from the others because it's not very distant. I mean, it's a very easy answer. The creativity in Latin America is always been fantastic, and it might sound strange, but for Europe, it's a lot of time it's an example. We know that when it comes from Argentina, and before it was like Argentina and Brazil, and now it seems like coming from everywhere. It comes from Mexico and Panama and whatever, all those countries. So there's always a lot of creativity in your region. And we always kind of admire the work that comes from here. So, and I just walked around a little bit this morning to check some work, and it strikes me that I know a lot of work, which is a good sign because I just didn't know it comes from here, but I know a lot of work, and there's a lot of great things here. I don't think a campaign can win the trust. I think it's the brand who needs to win the trust. And I think a brand underestimates that. If a brand is not being trusted by the people, that doesn't mean that people are not going to buy it, right? But sometimes you buy a brand because they give you a discount, right? And then the brand says like, I'm doing a good job, but actually you're not, because discount is like attracting the people for the wrong reason. It's not about trust. So brands need to build trust with their audience, and they do that as a brand, not with one campaign, but by everything they do. Right? Because if a campaign is about trust for a certain brand, and then afterwards I buy the brand and it's not trustworthy, it's a bad product or it's a bad service, it will be ruined forever. So you cannot build a campaign, you cannot build trust with a campaign. I think it's the brands in general, and everything it does and every connection it makes with the audience should be trustworthy. Otherwise it doesn't work. There's another thing about trust with agencies. I mean, the only way to make fantastic creative work is when your client trusts you. I had a lot of times clients saying to me like, we're not going to do that. And I told them, we are going to do that. You have to trust me. It's going to be fantastic. And the results will be fantastic. And they say, can you prove it? Of course not. I'm not a clairvoyant, I don't know. And it might not work, but you have to trust me. This is the right message, it's the right purpose, and we will do a lot on that purpose. And then, we will be successful, but you have to give me a year, right? And in that year, we will have some failures. Things will not work out well. So the thing, trust, is actually, my joke about trust and friends was just to introduce the film. But trust is, I think, the most crucial thing if you want to make creative work. Because creative means more risk. And more risk, I don't know how about you, but if you have to get into a car for a risky ride, you want to trust the driver, right? Otherwise, you will not do it. It's the same with agencies. It's the same with people. People have to trust the brand, otherwise it will not work. It will go automatic. That's the whole point I wanted to make. Was I'm actually convinced that the 90% will go down. I mean, it will never be 100% fantastic work. I mean, forget it. But if we manage by doing what we're doing to get the 90% to the 70%, for example, we will have done a fantastic work. I just think that people put their stuff out there and they don't really care whether it's good or not, as long as everybody agrees, and it has to be out there. But they just don't realize that people are actually not watching. So, I mean, there's a whole lot of money in our industry. There's so much money wasted, if you think about it. So they prefer wasting their money on things that are out there that nobody cares, than taking a little bit of risk and maybe get people to talk about it, but also get people to not like what you do. See? So, but that is going to change, because more and more people will take the power to talk about stuff they like. And brands obviously when we had the successes with Carlsberg and with TNT and with other, with Coke, then suddenly other brands come and buy, can you give me the same success? Can you make people talk about my brand? The fact that they are asking that is already asking for more creativity. So I'm very optimistic. I hope it will be better. But I'm obviously not sure it will happen. I don't know. Oh. So, do you have 1 hour? I hate advertising. It's a very long story. But I'm in advertising. Life is sometimes a bit cynical. I learned that I'm quite good in something I don't like, and I'm still blocked in it. I actually would like to do something else, but I'm quite good in what I do. So when I was a child, my cartoons were being interrupted by advertising, and I developed a hate for advertising because they interrupted my cartoons. And if they would interrupt what you like to see on television with fantastic stuff, it would be cool. But they always interrupt me with shit, but really shit. I mean, did you see all those commercials on television? While if you think about it, if we would make the best creative films from Latin America and you put them in one ad block, people would go to the toilets when the film starts, right? Because the ad block is fantastic. So I never got the stupidity of advertising. And I'm not blaming clients, I'm blaming agencies. They make the work too easy for themselves. It's so easy to sell shit to your client. Obviously, that's the easy part. Selling really good work to your client is much more difficult. So I promised myself and everybody I love, I will never work in advertising. I will never do that. I didn't study for it. And then by accident, I got into advertising to make a bit of money. And then I won my first gold, and you build your career. And I still hate it. I still absolutely hate it. Everything. The industry, the people, the way you interact with your clients, the way we interact amongst each other. Everything. I don't like it. The big advantage of it is that I can quit and stop and do something else. I don't care. So I can have a very open and direct conversations with my clients. If I tell them, you have to trust me because, I hate all that stuff and I only want to make great work for you, it's because I actually mean it, not because I want to take your money. So I don't care. So if one day I get fired because of my work, fine. I'll become a poet. I always wanted to be a poet, but I don't have talent, which is a problem. Yeah. I don't know if I'm answering your questions. I'm sorry. I'm quite chaotic. Yeah. But people don't want what they want. That's the whole point. I mean, I don't know if it's an answer to your question, and I should not be saying this, but I once drove home at 3:00 at night with my girlfriend, and I don't think we were completely sober, so I should not be driving then. But she was worse than me, so I had to drive. Don't put that on. Anyway, it's off the record. But I was driving, and the point is that she asked me, "Why do you love me?" Now, if a girl asks you that question at 3:00 at night and you're driving, it's a dangerous moment, right? It's a very dangerous moment. So I go like, "Oh well, I love you because well, I don't know. I just do, actually." And she was a bit angry. She said, "Why can't you say exactly why?" But I don't know. I just do. And she goes like, "You know why I love you? I love you because of this and this and this and this and this." Very girly. They can name it. And she had 5 points why she loves me. Now, which love is the strongest one? Mine or hers? Because hers is conditional, right? If the points are gone, love is gone. Mine is unconditional. I just don't know. I simply love you. So the points don't really matter. I think my love is stronger. Now, getting back to programmatic, I don't know if I'm making the bridge, but they give me what I want. But what is stronger when I love a brand just because I love the attitude of that brand? It's a brand for me. Or I love that brand because they give me what I want. I think the first one is much stronger. And the giving me what I want is just handy. But it will not ever make me a fan of a brand. You don't have to give me what I want. You have to give me what I need. And that's something completely different. And I don't think you reach that with programmatic. Again, it's not that we have to leave programmatic. It's just add-on. You have to do it. Give me the right offer at the right moment. But you will not gain my trust and my love with that. That's impossible. I don't believe that. One word, connectivity. And I know it's abstract, but it's advertising will be about connectivity, about connecting people to people. If brands manage to connect people with people, and they allow and enable it to happen, they will become big. Yes, because on social I'm not talking about the little banners and the things, but the advantage of social networks is that it's people talking to each other. And if I want people to talk about what I did for your brand, I have to be creative on there, right? So that's fantastic news. I love the fact that social networks are there. Actually, it's you can compare it to. A lot of time I give the same example. I run, right? And imagine that a friend of mine is going to run, and he says he's a bit fat, and he says like, I'm going to start running, so I bought myself those Nikes, and I would go and talk to him, and I would say, listen man, I love you as a friend, so if you start running with your body, don't buy Nikes, buy Asics. Asics gives you more support on the heel. It's true, by the way. But that's just me talking to him directly. And a brand cannot control that, right? I mean, a brand, Nike can tell me if you have a body, you're an athlete. If you want to start run, you need Nikes. Yeah, just do it. Come on, do it. They can talk like that to everybody, but they will never be able to stop me in talking to my friends saying, don't buy Nikes, buy Asics. So I'm much more powerful than a brand, because if I tell him so, he will not buy Nikes. Now the social network is exactly that. If on a social network my friend would say, I will start running and I will go to get myself a pair of Nikes, and he has 500 friends and I have 5,000, and I would go like, are you fucking crazy, man? If you start running, you have to buy yourself Asics. Well, there are 5,500 people who saw my answer, and brands don't control that, right? They don't control it. So the force of people talking to each other, which was before one-to-one, is now millions to millions. That's the whole point. So if you want them to talk about your advertising, about your work, about your campaigns, about your brands, you will have to be extremely creative. So that's fantastic news for creativity. I don't know. I mean, I don't know in 2 years. If you look at how it all changed in the last 2 to 3 years, then it's impossible to know how it will be in 20 years' time. I don't know. The problem of festivals is that creatives going to festivals get inspired by festivals, and then the next year they bring to the festival ideas that got inspired by ideas. And if you're in the jury, you feel it. That idea has been inspired by other ideas. I think people should not get their inspiration from advertising. You have to get your inspiration from life. Go out there. I prohibit, is that how you say it? My creatives cannot work in the agency. It's forbidden. If I see them like this in the agency, I go like, what are you doing here? Get out. I mean, I want to see you for the briefing, I want to see you for the reviews. That's it. Get out. Get your inspiration. Go drink, go have fun, do whatever you want. But don't be in my agency, because an agency, although it's a cool place, it will never inspire you to anything. The only thing you will be inspired from is Google and YouTube and everything that has been done before. So don't get your inspiration from advertising. Get it from life. It's much more important. First of all, since few months, we stopped calling ourselves an advertising agency. I really believe that advertising is going to change, and it will not be advertising is always for me linked to a certain message that you transmit via media. And I think that will still be there, but it will slowly diminish. So as from beginning of 2016, we call ourselves a creative connectivity agency. And I think it's a very different approach. What we do is actually we make a complete customer journey for our brands. So what's the exact journey that your audience is doing until they buy? They get back to the beginning and maybe they buy again. And on all those points of connectivity towards that customer journey, we try to be present with the same message, and we try to surprise them. And that's how our name is happiness. So what we try to do is we try to spread happiness from small contentment to intense joy on the complete customer journey of people. And sometimes that means that we invent new connections, like the Pimki one with the mini fashion bar. I don't know if you saw it. The mini fashion bar from Pimki, I showed it in the audience, is a new connection. There was a non-existing connection towards fashionable women. It was not there. So that's why I mean what I say if I say connectivity. I think advertising will evolve from messages via media to connections you have with certain people. And the connections must be interesting, otherwise people will just ignore you. That's it. That's the big project for my agency. Trying to understand that and trying to make work on all the connections. But we're only starting. I mean, maybe the business is getting interesting. Who knows? If I have one message for the whole of Latin America, and you might hate me for that now, is that I was always very inspired by the ideas coming out of Latin America in general. And the last years, I have the impression that a lot of ideas are very constructed, forced. It's more forced. You feel that people have been sweating to get that idea. And I don't like ideas that smell like sweat. I would ask the whole of Latin America to get back to a bit more naive work and a little bit less sweaty work. Like you guys are fantastically creative. You've always been very creative. Just let it go, make it happen again, and don't be inspired by everything that has been done before, because then your ideas start sweating. And I don't like that, so that's it. Y perdóname por no hablar español. Por favor. Gracias.